Welcome to the Madison Miller Podcast. Today is Friday, September 18th, 2020. Today I'm going to recap yesterday's Stanley Cup and NBA playoff games, look ahead to the NBA for the weekend. We'll do my picks for college football and the NFL, as well as going over Thursday Night Football from yesterday. Major League Baseball, we'll go over those results, look ahead to today's games. The WNBA, go over the playoff results from yesterday and look ahead to the weekend. Golf, we'll go over the leaderboard at the U.S. Open. NASCAR picks for the weekend. And my Fab 5 in both college football and the NFL and best bet of the day. All right, we'll start with the NHL, where the Eastern Conference Finals Game 6 happened. The Tampa Bay Lightning defeated the New York Islanders by a score of 2-1 in overtime on a goal by Anthony Cirelli to advance to the Stanley Cup Final for the first time in 5 years. Cirelli obviously the number one star of the game. Number two star of the game with 46 saves on 48 shots, Semyon Varlamov. He's the reason why this game went to overtime. Third star of the game with an assist, Nikita Kucherov. So, Tampa goes to the final to play the Stars. Islanders, it was a great run, great season, yet again. I don't consider this a disappointment for the Islanders. They really gave the Lightning a run for their money, a couple overtime games. Could have won last night to force a Game 7 for Saturday. But no, they don't get it done. Their season's over. Now it's going to be interesting to see what their off-season plans are. I think that they should just really stand pat, maybe add a piece offensively, and they'll be a contender yet again for next year. Meanwhile, Tampa plays Dallas in the Stanley Cup Final. Tampa's obviously a favorite in the series. It begins on Saturday, 7:30 on NBC. So the Stars are a team that nobody expected to be in the Stanley Cup Final. No one. They're here. Courtesy of their goalie, Antoine Khudobin, Jamie Benn, Tyler Seguin, Alexander Radulov. They have some role guys stepping up. They have a good defense, John Klingberg and Miro Heiskanen, who has to be among the candidates for the playoffs MVP, the Conn Smythe. And then on the other side, obviously, Tampa's just loaded. Vasilevsky in net, and then you got Braden Point, you got Nikita Kucherov, Cirelli. Steven Stamkos could be back for the series. You never know. He didn't play in the conference final. It'd be a great story if he came back for this series and helped the Lightning win their first Stanley Cup in 16 years. Their defense is loaded. Mikhail Sergachev, Ryan McDonough, Victor Hedman, Kevin Shattenkirk. So the Lightning are the deeper team and the better team, but something tells me that the Stars are this year's Blues. And that's why I'm going to be different and pick the Stars to win in 7 games this series. And I don't remember who I picked in the Boston Blues series. I think I picked Boston. I really don't remember. But to me, the Stars feel like the team of destiny. That Cinderella, that little engine that could. So they're plus 155 on the money line tomorrow night. I think they'll win Game 1. And they're plus 155 to win the series. I don't have the series price in front of me on FanDuel, so I'll look over to DraftKings to see if they have it for me. Dallas in 7. If so, I'm betting that because I think that is an absolute great price right there. And I think they can absolutely do it. It doesn't say a series price. They have player props and stuff like that. Yeah. I wonder what Dallas in 7 is, but that's going to be my pick for the series. I'm going to get a little nuts. I won't be surprised at all if Tampa wins, but to me, Dallas just feels like a team of destiny right now. So give me the Stars in 7. I think that Dallas will also win Game 1 of the Stanley Cup Finals. And for the second year in a row, a Western Conference team from the Central Division will win the Cup in a 7-game series. Now we'll move on to the NBA, where we had the Eastern Conference Final Game 2 last night between the Heat and the Celtics, and the Heat came out on top by a score of 106-101 to take a 2-0 series lead, come back from 17 down. Goran Dragic had 25, Bam Adebayo had 21, Kemba Walker had 23 for Boston. I actually picked Boston to win the game on the podcast yesterday. I was wrong. And the series will continue on Saturday, but before that, we'll pick the Western Conference Final between the Nuggets and the Lakers. 9 o'clock on TNT. Lakers are favored by 7 points over the Denver Nuggets tonight. It should be a great game between these two clubs. Denver, along with the Miami Heat. Oh, and Boston, you could argue, too. So we have 3 pretty much Cinderellas in the NBA, and then you have the Lakers. And it's kind of funny that you have 3 Cinderellas and the Lakers. So the Lakers are a team that obviously has LeBron James and Anthony Davis, and they have a bunch of nice role players, but not special role players. I mean, Kyle Kuzma is probably the best of their role guys. Alex Caruso's had a good playoff. Rajon Rondo's back from injury. Kadavius Caldwell-Pope can occasionally hit a big shot. They have some guys that I do like, too, in terms of that they play hard. Caruso's among that group. Avery Bradley, someone who they don't have, and always was a good defensive player. And then, obviously, the Nuggets are a team that really has silenced some critics throughout the postseason. Obviously, coming back from 3-1 down in 2 series in a row, which is unheard of in today's NBA and in sports. Although you see it more often than not nowadays. You've seen it twice in the NBA already in this playoffs. You see it in hockey the most. The team coming back from 3-1 down to win a series. And then Nikola Jokic is a stud. We know that. And then you have Jamal Murray, who has been the breakout star of the postseason. No Will Barton for Denver. That hurts them. If I'm not mistaken, I think he left the bubble. And that hurts Denver's bench, obviously. Torrey Craig has stepped up for them. He's been on that team for a while. Michael Porter Jr. Had a good regular season bubble, but hasn't really been that great in the postseason. Gary Harris is back for them. Paul Millsap's playing a lot of big games. Jeremy Grant's been in big games with the Thunder in the past as well. Mason Plumlee's a good backup center for them. Monte Morris is a solid backup point guard. So the Nuggets are a pretty deep team. And I think that they can give the Lakers some trouble due to the fact that if the Lakers play McGee and Howard, Jokic is going to dominate them. I don't think people realize that. I would make the Lakers favored by 5.5. FanDuel has it at 7, over under 211. So I'm a 1.5 off of my line versus Vegas's line. I think that the Lakers will win Game 1 because I could just see a letdown from Denver a la Game 1 against the Clippers. I like over 211. I think that the Lakers can score their fair share, and I think Denver can score. I'm going to say that this is a 110 to maybe 112, 103. That, I think, is a good final score. So give me the Lakers to win Game 1 against the Denver Nuggets. And then Saturday, and then in terms of a series pick, Lakers in 6. I forgot to mention. 8:30 ESPN Saturday night, Celtics Heat. Boston's a 3-point favorite over Miami. I think Boston gets it done. They need to get it done. They're under a lot of pressure. They're favored to win this series, which I obviously disagreed with, and I said it on the podcast a lot, that I felt that the Celtics should not have been favored to win the series. I think that the Heat should be 1-point favorites in this game, but I think that the Celtics are going to win, to at least make this series a little interesting. And then Sunday, 7:30 TNT, Lakers Nuggets. We don't have a line out for that. I'm going to say Denver upsets them and evens it up at 1 apiece. And then we're going to be talking about an interesting Western Conference Final. So I think the Western Final will be 1-1. And I think that the Eastern Final will be 2-1, obviously, in favor of the Miami Heat. Now I'm going to do my picks for college football for the week. There's one game tonight and then a bunch of games on Saturday. Next week is when it gets very interesting with the SEC entering the fold. So that should be a lot of fun. First up, you got Campbell and Coastal Carolina. I have Coastal Carolina as a 19.5-point favorite. FanDuel has it 27.5. So it went up a point since yesterday. Give me Campbell in the points. I think that Campbell was competitive with Georgia State. Or was it Georgia Southern? I think it was Georgia Southern. I think that they could be somewhat competitive here again. Coastal obviously coming off that win over Kansas. There could be a letdown factor here. Give me Campbell in the points. But I'm going to say that Coastal Carolina gets it done. You got Cincinnati against Austin Peay up next. Cincinnati's a 34-point favorite. 34.5. I'd make Cincinnati 41.5. So give me Cincinnati minus a 34.5. I'm a touchdown off from the line. So I'm getting value here at Cincinnati. So give me Cincinnati minus 34.5. Boston College against Duke. I don't think Duke's any good. I'm sorry. I just don't. These two teams, I just think are not, or at least Duke, I just don't, I'm not a fan. My number for this game is way, way off. Like, you wouldn't even believe how off my projections are for this game. Maybe it's because Duke has already played a game and BC hasn't, but I have BC'd by double digits. You don't want to know the number because it's laughable. And I don't get why Duke's favored in their home stadium without fans. Give me Boston College getting 6.5. I think they win the game outright, plus 210 on the money line. Next up, you have Houston and Baylor. This was a game that got put in the schedule because Houston was supposed to be Memphis. Memphis had a COVID outbreak. And this is Baylor's first game of the year. The quarterback's back for Baylor, Charlie Brewer. Dana Holgorsen in Houston looking for a bounce-back season after a disappointing year one under Dana Holgorsen. Baylor favored by 3.5, over under 61.5. I'd make Baylor minus 16.5. I mean, I don't think Houston's really all going to be that good either this year. I think Baylor covers the 3.5. And I would take a stab at the over as well. Liberty, Western Kentucky. Western Kentucky's giving 14.5, over under 52.5. I would make this game Liberty by 4. I know that's crazy, and people are thinking I'm nuts. I'm taking the Flames plus the 14.5, and I take a stab at it plus 470 on the money line. I think Liberty shocks Western Kentucky. Louisiana Lafayette and Georgia State. The Raging Cajuns are minus 15.5. Over under 57.5. I would make Louisiana 18.5, but I'm staying away from that line because I hate betting newly ranked teams. Hate it. So I'm going to look at to the total, 57.5, and I'm going to take the over. I think this is a competitive game. I feel better about the over than I do about Georgia State. Because if I take Georgia State, it's going against my number. I'm going to say ULL wins, but I don't know if they cover. I'm going to take the over 57.5, and it looks like this number might go down as the juice is on the under. Navy and Tulane. Tulane's favored by 6.5, over under 48.5. I would make this game. I would make Navy favored here. I think people are overreacting to that bad loss that Navy had against BYU in the opener. I'm going to take Navy getting the points. The money line is plus 210. I won't be shocked if Navy wins. I'm not going to call Navy win because they just looked so bad in that BYU game. I think Tulane wins, but Navy covers. Syracuse and Pitt. Pitt's favored by 21.5, over under 50.5. Yet again, Syracuse is being undervalued here. They could have covered against North Carolina, but they let it up late. Their offense is just putrid. That's probably why they're getting little respect from the bookmakers. Pitt has no fans. I'm going to take Syracuse in the points again, and I'm going to say that Pitt wins. Next up, Tulsa and Oklahoma State. Oklahoma State's giving 23.5, over under 66.5. I would make OK State a 31.5 point favorite. It's 23.5, so I'm laying the points with the Cowboys against Tulsa. South Florida, Notre Dame, 2:30 NBC. Notre Dame's favored by 25.5, over under 47.5. I'm laying the 25.5 with Notre Dame. I'd make Notre Dame 36.5. I think South Florida sucks, so give me Notre Dame minus the 25.5. Stephen F. Austin and UTSA. UTSA is favored by 14.5, over under 51.5. I would make UTSA 20.5. So I'm laying it with the Roadrunners here. App State and Marshall. App State's favored by 4.5, over under 60.5. I project App State to be an 8-point favorite, so I'm going to lay the 4.5 here with the Mountaineers on the road at Marshall. Florida Atlantic and Georgia Southern. Georgia Southern's a 2.5 point favorite, over under 47.5. I project Georgia Southern by a half, and this line has moved, and the total's moved as well. And I like the over 47.5 here. Although I take a look at FAU now that the line's moving away from me. But I really do like the over 47.5 in this game. FAU can score. Georgia Southern can score. I think that this could be 27-23 as their final score. So That looks like an easy play here for me. UCF and Georgia Tech. UCF's giving 7.5 over under 62.5. I project UCF to be favored here by 17.5. So give me UCF minus 7.5 to a win at Georgia Tech by double digits. The Citadel at Clemson. I have Clemson by 45.5 over under 57.5. I project Clemson by 42, so 2.5 points, or I'm sorry, 3.5 points off. For the play for the podcast, though, over 57.5 is my play here. I think that Clemson can do it by themselves, quite frankly. Troy, Middle Tennessee. Troy's favored by 2.5 over under 64.5. Someone explain to me how Troy is only 2.5. Like, is there a COVID thing that we don't know about here? Stanford, Steve, and the Bear were talking about this on their show on Wednesday, and they are dumbfounded at why Troy is only giving 2.5. I'm laying the 2.5 with Troy. I project Troy to be favored by 11.5. SMU in North Texas at 6 o'clock. SMU is favored by 13.5 over under 68.5. I would make SMU a 7-point favorite. Oh, no, I'm sorry. I'd make North Texas favored here. That's crazy. I don't know if North Texas will actually win. I don't believe in this projection. I'm going to take the points with North Texas here, but I'm going to say that SMU wins. Louisiana Tech and Southern Miss. Southern Miss is favored by 4.5 over under 58.5. I project Southern Miss in this spot to be 1.5. Give me Louisiana Tech plus the 4.5. I don't know if they'll win, but I think this will be a close game. 7:30 ABC, Miami and Louisville. Louisville's laying 2.5 over under 64.5. I project Miami to be favored in this game by 3.5. I think Miami's going to win this game. I take on the money line plus 112 and plus 2.5. But I love the over in this game, 64.5. I think that these two teams can score. I know the over's juiced a little bit, but I like the over in Miami-Louisville. I think this is going to be a shootout, and I think Miami will win the game. Texas State and Louisiana Monroe. Texas State's favored by 4.5 over under 62.5. I would make UL Monroe a 7-point favorite. Texas State stinks. Do people not get that? I know they were competitive with UTSA, but UTSA is not good. They're not good. Give me UL Monroe plus 4.5, plus 172, or it's down to plus 168 on the money line, as I think they'll get it done against an overrated Texas State team. 8 o'clock, we have Wake Forest and NC State. Wake Forest is now actually favored by 0.5, over under 52.5. I project NC State here to be a big favorite. I just think they're way better than Wake Forest. Wake Forest was competitive with Clemson, but how much of that was like Clemson kind of overlooking them? I love NC State. They're getting a 0.5 point. I think they're better than Wake Forest. So, give me NC State plus the 0.5 against Wake Forest. And then last but not least, 9 o'clock, you have Abilene Christian against UTEP. UTEP giving 13.5 over under 52.5. I project UTEP to be favored by 6.5. So, I can't believe I'm doing this. I'm taking UTEP to cover the 3.5 against the Abilene Christian Wildcats. All right, now we'll move on to the NFL. We'll go over the games from last night and look ahead to the games today. The Browns got a much-needed victory, 35-30. Over the Cincinnati Bengals. The Bengals backdoored everybody at the end of that game last night. Browns 1-1, Bengals 0-2. Baker Mayfield, 16 of 23, 219 yards, 2 touchdowns and a pick. Joe Burrow, 13 of 61, 316 yards, and 3 touchdowns. And now to the picks for week number 2. So 1-0 on podcast picks for the weeks thus far with the over cashing in. So thank you very much. All right, so first up, Atlanta at Dallas. Dallas is favorite 4.5 over under 54. I project the Cowboys to be 5-point favorites. They're going to have some fans in the stands. So I take a look at the Cowboys minus the 4.5 at plus money. That's unheard of. But my number's close to that, so I'm not going to touch that. Instead, I'm going to go to the total. 54. It's at 54 flat, and I like it better. It was at 54.5 yesterday. I'm going to take the over. I think that the Cowboy offense will bounce back against a worse Falcons defense. I'm going to say that the injuries to Dallas are brutal, and I think Atlanta can score at them. So my projected final score of this game is 38-31 Dallas. Give me over 54 for that game. Next up, the Bills at the Dolphins. The Bills are -6, over under 41. I project the Bills to be favored in this game by 8.5. Give me the Bills -6. They're better than the Dolphins. I think Josh Allen will have a good game. Won't be surprised if this is a little more competitive than the Patriots game from last week for the Dolphins. But I'm going to say the Bills get the cover late. I'm going to say the Bills win this game 26-16. So give me -6 with the Buffalo Bills. Next up, Carolina at Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay's favored by 8.5, over under 47.5. I project Tampa by 9, so half point off. I absolutely love the over in this game. I think Tampa and that offense will bounce back. Chris Godwin's not healthy, which is a problem. But I think that they'll get it done. Carolina's a good offense, too. I'm going to say Tampa wins, but I love over 47.5. I project this game to be 37-26 Tampa Bay. Next up, the Broncos and the Steelers. Steelers are giving 7 over under 40.5. So the line went down a half point. I still like Denver plus the 7. No, they won't win. They have too many injuries, but that's too big of a line. They have a good defense. I just don't see them getting rolled over by Pittsburgh. Maybe Pittsburgh covers late like they did against the Giants, like in that third, fourth quarter range. But I get it. It's Pittsburgh's home opener. There's no fans in the stands. I think Pittsburgh will win, but I think Denver will cover. I'm going to say Pittsburgh wins this game by a score of 23-17, and I also like under 40.5 as well. The Lions and the Packers. The Packers are giving 6 over under 49.5. I project Green Bay by 5. Give me the Lions plus the 6. I'm going to say that the Lions win this outright. They are plus 245 on the money line. I just think that this is a bounce-back spot for them and a letdown spot for Green Bay. I won't be shocked if Green Bay wins, obviously, but I just think this is a close game. Actually, I'm going to call my shot here and say Detroit wins. And you won't be hearing more Matt Patricia hot seat rumors for yet another week. So give me Detroit plus the 6. I think they went outright, and I also would consider over 49.5 in this spot as well. Jacksonville and Tennessee. Tennessee's favored by 7.5, over under 44. I project Tennessee to be favored only by 3. I think that a lot of it has to do with the fact that I was down on Tennessee to begin the year, and I was also and Jacksonville obviously coming off the win. It's a division game. I'm going to take the Jags getting the 7.5. They won't win. They'll be competitive. Maybe they get the back door late. So give me Tennessee 24-20. Next up, the Eagles and the Rams. The Eagles are favored by 1.5, over under 45.5. The Rams are actually favored a couple days ago. Now Philly's a favorite. I I'm going to lay the 1.5 with the Eagles. I don't feel good about it. I also like the under 46 in this game. Or, I'm sorry, 45.5. It went down. But yeah, I would take the Eagles as the podcast play, under 45.5. Also, I think the Eagles will win this game 23-20, and I have Philly projected 3.5. By the way, Denver-Pittsburgh projected. I have Pittsburgh projected 2.5. I missed that one earlier. Vikings-Colts. Colts favored by 3 over under 48.5. I have the Colts projected here as a 2-point favorite. I love the over in this game. I think that both of these teams are very good offensively. Both teams' defenses stink, especially Minnesota. Give me the over 48.5. I'm going to say the Colts win 31-30. Next up, the Giants and the Bears. The Bears are favored by 5.5 over under 42. I project the Bears to be 2-point favorites. I'm going to take the New York Football Giants here, plus the 5.5. I think they win the game outright, plus 205 on the money line. So, this is more of an anti-Bear pick than a pro-Giants pick, because I just don't think Mitch Trubisky's good. That was the flukiest comeback ever, courtesy of the banged-up Lions secondary and poor play calling by Matt Patricia. Meanwhile, the Giants actually weren't all that bad on Monday night against Pittsburgh. That was just a bad matchup for their running game and for their offense with that ferocious front seven. The Bears' front seven isn't the same with Eddie Goldman opting out. Their secondary, I think, is a little overrated. I think Daniel Jones can throw on them. And I think Trubisky can throw on the Giants too, but let's face it, Trubisky ain't good. So give me the Giants getting the 5.5. I think they win the game outright. The 49ers and the Jets. The 49ers are favored by 7 over under 41.5. I'm going to lay the 7 with the 49ers. I project the Niners to be 10-point favorites. But there's rumors that George Kittle may not play. If Kittle's out, then I would make it 49ers by 8.5. So either way, I still love San Francisco. Give me -7 with the 49ers. Now we're into the 4 o'clock window. You have the football team at the Cardinals. 7-point favorites are the Cardinals over under 47.5. I project the Cardinals by 6. I think that this is a low-scoring game. I think that Washington's defense is going to keep them in it, just like they kept them in that Philly game. But ultimately, they won that Philly game outright. I don't think they'll win this Arizona game outright because I just think Arizona is simply better. Kyler Murray, I think will be the difference here. I think he can throw on the Redskins. So give me I actually like the under here because I think Washington's defense will keep him in it. But so give me the under as my play for that game. I think the Cardinals will win 24-18. Baltimore-Houston's next. The Ravens are favored by 7. Over-under is 50. I have Baltimore as an 8-point favorite. I absolutely love the over here. I think this is a shootout. I think that the Texans will play better than they did against the Chiefs. It's their home opener. Texans won't have fans, which stinks. If they had fans, maybe 25% capacity, the line would have been correct. But I still like the over 50. I think there could be garbage touchdowns late. I'm going to say the Ravens win 35-20. The Chiefs and the Chargers at 425. This is the Nance Romo special. It should be Ravens-Texans because of the quarterback matchup, but I think that CBS is just giving a little too much favoritism towards the reigning champs. And then I get it, the Chargers in their new stadium, like there's that subplot as well. But I think that the two big dogs should have been announcing the Ravens-Texans game, and I think that they would have maybe if the Texans didn't trade away Hopkins, or if they didn't have this bad reputation in a weird way. But I just think that, like I said, it's more about the favoritism towards the Chiefs than it is the anti-Texans thing. Chiefs favored by 8.5 over under 47.5. I have the Chiefs projected 7.5. I like the over. I think that both these teams are going to score. I'm getting value with the over minus 105. So the juice is on the under. I think that the Chargers offense will be a little bit better in this game. I think they'll get up for it. I'm going to say the Chiefs win 31-23. And that would easily hit on my overplay. Sunday Night Football, Al Michaels, Chris Collinsworth, Michelle Tavoya, New England at Seattle. Seattle's a 4-point favorite, over under 44.5. I hate this pick, but I'm going to take the Patriots plus the 4. The juice is on it at 115. The reason why I hate this pick is I could see a world where Seattle blows them out. But I also could see a world, and I think this is the more likely scenario, that it's a 3-point game either way. So that's what I'm banking on. Taking the Patriots plus the 4, and I'm going to say Seattle wins 23-20. By the way, over under 44.5. I'd consider the under in that game as well. And then Monday Night Football, we will pick on the podcast on Monday between the Saints and the Raiders as Vegas opens their new stadium. I'm going to do a quick Major League Baseball rundown and go over the weekend slate. Interesting night in baseball. Red Sox over the Marlins 5-3. White Sox over the Twins 4-3. Angels over the Diamondbacks 7-3. Giants over the Mariners 6-4. Rays over the Orioles 3-1 and 7. Yanks over the Blue Jays 10-7. That's 8 in a row for the Yanks. Mets over the Phillies 10-6. Pirates over the Cardinals 5-1. Indians over the Tigers 10-3. Astros over the Rangers 2-1. Rays over the Orioles 10-6 and 7. Doubleheader game number 2. Dodgers over the Rockies 9-3. Today, 4 o'clock, Cardinals Pirates. Carlos Martinez, Trevor Williams. Doubleheader game 1, Phils Blue Jays. This is a COVID makeup game. Zach Eflin, Robbie Ray. 5 o'clock, Nationals Marlins. Eric Feed and Sixto Sanchez. 7 o'clock, the Pirates and the Cardinals game number 2. Chad Cole and Daniel Ponce de Leon. White Sox Reds, Jonathan Seaver and TJ Antone. This is a good game, good series here. I think this would have been a better, more intriguing series had the Reds not underachieved, but it's still a good series. Reds can conceivably steal that last playoff spot from Philadelphia. Indians Tigers, Zach Plesac and Michael Fulmer. Braves Mets, Max Fried and Steven Matz. 7:30 Yankees Red Sox, Jordan Montgomery, Martin Perez. By the way, a subplot of this series is if the Yankees sweep, not only would it be 11 wins in a row, they'd sweep the Red Sox for the regular season, probably for the first time in franchise history. Rays Orioles, Tyler Glasnow, Alex Cobb. So Alex Cobb against his former team. 8 o'clock, Rockies Dodgers from Colorado. We don't know who's going for the Dodgers. Ryan Castellini's going for Colorado. Astros Diamondbacks, Zach Gallen, Zach Greinke. Royals Brewers, Danny Duffy, Adrian Hauser. Nationals Marlins game 2. Patrick Corbin, we don't know who's going for Miami. 8:15 Twins Cubs, Rich Hill, Kyle Hendricks. That's a good game. Rangers Angels at 9 o'clock. Wes Benjamin and Jaime Barria. 9:30 Giants A's, Logan Webb and Chris Bassett. And Padres Mariners from San Diego as Seattle continues with its wildfires. Chris Paddock and Yasei Kikuchi. Saturday, 4 o'clock, Giants Athletics, Kevin Gossman, Frankie Montas. 6 o'clock, Blue Jays Phillies, Hyunjin Ryu, Vince Velasquez. Indians Tigers, Tristan McKenzie, Spencer Turnbull. Nats Marlins, Max Scherzer, Pablo Lopez. 7 o'clock, Cardinals Pirates, Kwang Hyun Kim and Mitch Keller. 7 o'clock on Fox, White Sox Reds, Dallas Keuchel, Tyler Mahle. I'm going to go with the White Sox here at Dallas Keuchel as they look closer to clinch the 1 seed in the American League. Braves Mets, Ian Anderson, David Peterson. Mets kind of still in the race for the last playoff spot in the National League. I think they get it done. Although Ian Anderson has made a name for himself in the National League Rookie of the Year conversation. Diamondbacks, Astros, Luke Weaver, Christian Javier. Royals, Brewers, Chris Bubic, Corbin Burns. 7:30 Yankees, Red Sox. Jay Happ, and we don't know who's going for Boston. Rays, Orioles, Fox Sports 1, Charlie Morton, Jorge Lopez. Dodgers, Rockies, Clayton Kershaw and Chichi Gonzalez. 8:15 Twins, Cubs, Michael Pineda and Alec Mills. 9 o'clock on Fox. Out on the West Coast, Texas and the Angels. Lance Lynn, Andrew Heaney. I'm going to go with the Rangers here. They just win whenever Lance Lynn's on the bump. And then the Padres and the Mariners from San Diego. Mike Clevenger and Justice Sheffield. Sunday, 1 o'clock, Rays Orioles. Ryan Yarbrough, John Means. 1 o'clock TBS. Yanks, Orioles, Davey Garcia and Tanner Houck. Davey Garcia has been very good for the Yankees since getting called up. He's had a couple quality starts here. He reminds me a lot of 2015 Luis Severino when they called up Severino after not making a move at the deadline. And Severino helped them make the playoffs and what was a older veteran team at the time. Now this is a team that's in its prime window to win now. They've turned their season around, 8 straight wins, in the 5 spot in the American League right now. Still kind of lingering in the AL East. If the Rays lose a couple games here against the Orioles and if the Yanks sweep Boston, this division could look a little bit more interesting. So give me the Yanks here. I don't know if they're going to sweep the Red Sox and go unbeaten against the Red Sox. That'd be crazy, but I think they'll win 2 out of 3 in this series. I'm going to say that the winning streak either ends tonight or tomorrow, but they'll get it done on Sunday with Davey Garcia on the bump. White Sox, Reds. Dylan Cease, Trevor Bauer. Indians, Tigers. Carlos Carrasco, Matt Boyd. Doubleheader Game 1, Nats, Marlins. Anibal Sanchez, Sandy Alcantara. Braves, Mets. Kyle Wright, Michael Wacha. 2 o'clock Diamondbacks, Astros, Madison Bumgarner and Jose Urquidy. Royals, Brewers. Brad Keller and Brett Anderson. 3 o'clock Blue Jays, Phillies. Tyjon Walker, and we don't know who's going for the Phils. Dodgers, Rockies, Tony Gonsolin, and Antonio Sensatella. 4 o'clock ESPN, Giants, A's, Johnny Cueto, Jesus Luzardo. I'm going to go with Luzardo and the A's there as they try to close out the AL West. Cardinals, Pirates, Jack Flaherty and Joe Musgrove. Rangers, Angels, Kyle Cody and Julio Teheran. Padres, Mariners, Dinelson Lamet and Justin Dunn. Nationals, Marlins, Game 2 doubleheader. TBD on starters. Good game on Sunday Night Baseball. Twins, Cubs, Wrigley Field, Jose Barrios and Yu Darvish. I'm going to go with the Cubs here. I know they're going to be big favorites. I consider the Twins, but Barrios just is bad in big spots. So give me the Cubs at home on Sunday Night Baseball as they inch closer to clinching the National League Central. Now we'll move on to WNBA and go over those results from yesterday and look ahead to the weekend and the playoffs. Lynx over to Mercury 80-79. I picked the Mercury to win this game, but oh well. Demario Stantis had 22 points, and Diana Taurasi, who's great in big games, 28 points and 9 assists. And the Mercury almost got it done. Almost. Sun over to Sparks 73-59. I liked the Sparks in this game. Yet another failure for Derek Fisher. Alyssa Thomas had 19 for the Sun, and Candace Parker had 22 with 14 boards and 5 assists for the Sparks. I'm curious to see if they keep Derek Fisher. I won't be shocked if they fire him. I hated the hire in the first place. He was terrible with the Knicks, and I didn't think he'd be a good WNBA coach, and I'm probably right about that. Semifinals begin on Sunday. The Sun and the Aces and the Lynx and the Storm. These are, if I'm not mistaken, best of 5s. I'm going to take the Aces in 3. I just think they're better than the Sun. All due respect to Dewana Bonner and Alyssa Thomas. Maybe they pick them off once, but I just think the Aces are better than the Lynx and the Storm. I'm going to say the Storm in 4. I'm going to say the Lynx pick them off one game. And then in terms of who wins on Sunday, I'm going to take the Aces and the Storm, and I think they both win by double digits. Now we'll do golf. We'll go over the current leaderboard at the U.S. Open. And it's been an interesting start to the tournament thus far. And your current leader right now is Justin Thomas at 5 under. Tied for second, Patrick Reed and Thomas Peters at 4 under. Tied for 4th, Rory McIlroy and Matthew Wolff at 3 under. Tied for 6th, Tony Finau, Harry English, Brendan Todd, Jason Kokrak, and Rafa Cabrera Bello at 2 under. Tied for 11th at 1 under, John Rahm, Bryson DeChambeau, Dustin Thompson, or Davis Thompson, Xander Schauffele, and Lewis Olson. Tied for 16th at even, Patrick Cantlay, Daniel Berger, Renato Parator, Kurt Kayama, Joaquin Niemann, Lee Westwood, Matt Wallace, Eric Van Rooyen, Bubba Watson, and Chun An Yu. Now I'm just going to do notables. Tied for 27th with 1 over, Webb Simpson, Lucas Glover, Sebastian Munoz, Hideki Matsuyama, Danny Lee, Dustin Johnson, Victor Hovland, JT Potson. Tied for 42nd, Mackenzie Hughes, Adam Hadwin, Ricky Fowler, Lanto Griffin's in the side, Jason Day's in the side, Zach Johnson's in the side, Sungjae Im's in the tie for 56, along with Jordan Spieth, Justin Rose, Cam Champ, Tiger, Tyler Duncan, Abraham Ancer, and Joel Dahman. Notables in the tie for 75th with 4 over, Sergio Garcia, Ryan Fox, Saibu Kim, and Tyrell Hatton. Tied for 94th in that tie at 5 over, Ryan Palmer, Mark Hubbard, Ian Poulter's in there. Tied for 109th with 6 over, Paul Casey, Dylan McCarthy, Shane Lowry, Tommy Fleetwood. Tied for 120th with 7 over, Kevin Kisner's in there, Gary Woodland. In the tie for 125th with 8 over, Matthew Fitzpatrick. In the tie for 131st with 9 over, Phil Mickelson's in there. And tied for 137th with 10 over, Matthias Schwab's in there. And Andrew Putnam withdrew from the tournament. Now we'll move on to NASCAR. Interesting weekend ahead for the sport. The trucks raced yesterday. I forgot to give out my pick. It was Zane Smith. We'll go over the results of that race from the truck series at Bristol. And your winner yesterday was Sam Mayer. Second, Brett Moffitt. Third, Tanner Gray. Fourth, Parker Klingerman. Fifth, Trevor Bayne. Chandler Smith, Grant Effinger, Tyler Ankrum, Ross Chasen, and Johnny Sauter round out the top 10. Matt Craft and Sheldon Creed, Christian X, Ben Rhodes, Todd Gilliland, Eric Kraus. Zane Smith, my pick, came in 17th. Carson Hosvar, 18th. Raphael Lester, 19th. Camden Murphy, 20th. Timmy Hill, 21st. Tate Fogelman, 22nd. Clay Greenfield, 23rd. Jordan Anderson, Danny Bone, Austin Hill, Josh Balicki, Spencer Boyd, Jennifer Joe Cobb, Natalie Decker, Cody Erickson, Cody Rohrbach, Stuart Friesen, Austin Wayne Svelth, Norm Benning, and Josh Rumi. All right, now we'll move on to the Xfinity Series, the starting lineup for their race tonight at Bristol. So it's weird to see Bristol in September. You normally see Bristol in March and in August. Justin Allgaier, Ross Chaston, Noah Gragson, Austin Cindric, Justin Haley, Harrison Burton, Jeb Burton, Brandon Jones, Michael Annett, Chase Briscoe, Ryan Sieg, Brandon Brown, Alex Labb, Brett Moffitt, Jeffrey Earnhardt, Jeremy Clements, Matt Wills, Josh Williams, Anthony Alfredo, Riley Herbst, BJ McLeod, Bailey Curry, Joe Graff Jr., Kyle Weatherman, Jesse Little, Tommy Joe Martins, Chad Fincham, Greg Gaulding, Myatt Snyder, Dexter Bean, Colby Howard, Stephon Pearson, Cody Vanderwall, Timmy Hill, Vinny Miller, and Steven Licht. In terms of a pick, I'm going to go with somebody that's been awesome this year in the Xfinity Series. I feel like he's had a breakthrough year. He's turned some heads in a positive manner. That, my friends, is Justin Haley. And he is 12-1 to win the race on DraftKings. DraftKings says better NASCAR odds than FanDuel. So I'm going to take Justin Haley at 12-1 to win the Food City 300 at Bristol. And now the Cup Series starting lineup at Bristol. Brad Keselowski, Joey Logano, Martin Truex Jr., Kevin Harvick, Austin Dillon, Chase Elliott, Denny Hamlin, Alex Bowman, Kyle Busch, Alec Amarola, Clint Bowyer, Cole Custer, Kurt Busch, Ryan Blaney, William Byron, Matt DiBenedetto, Tyler Riddick, Chris Bell, Matt Kenseth, Eric Jones, Ricky Stenhouse Jr., Ryan Preece, Chris Buescher, Jimmy Johnson, Ryan Newman, Michael McDowell, Bubba Wallace, Ty Dillon, Daniel Suarez, Corey LaJoie, John Hunter Nemechek, Brendan Poole, Quinn Howell, Freed Sorensen, James Davison, Joey Gase, Greg Goldling, Timmy Hill, Josh Bilicki, and Garrett Smithley. I'm going to go with somebody who has a great history at Bristol. He probably is very valuable for the Bass Pro Shops night race. I'm going to go with Kurt Busch at 18-1. Kyle's at plus 550. I think he's overvalued here. I'm going to go with Kurt Busch, 18-1. I consider Brad Keselowski. He's plus 650. He's overvalued. I'm going to go with someone who's had a great history in the past at Bristol. So give me Kurt Busch, 18-1 to win the Bass Pro Shops night race at Bristol. Now I'm going to do my Fab 5 and best bet. I'm going to start with the Fab 5. And I'm going to start in college football. I hinted at a couple of picks for the Fab 5. My first Fab 5 pick is Boston College plus 6.5 against Duke. I think this is a close game. I think that Boston College wins this game outright. And the other thing is that I don't project Duke to be good this year. Florida Atlantic, Georgia Southern over 47.5. This is the first time taking a total in a Fab 5 this year. I just think that these two teams are going to score. I think this game will be played into the 60s. So give me the over 47.5. UCF minus 7.5 against Georgia Tech. They're just better than Georgia Tech. Georgia Tech's a program on the rise, but I think that the Knights are just the better team. So I'm going to lay the 7.5 with UCF. Louisiana Monroe plus 4.5 against Texas State. I went against Texas State last week and it worked out for me. I'm doing it again. And last but not least, I'm taking the half point with NC State. I just think they're better than Wake Forest. I think that line moved because Stanford Steve and the Bear were praising Wake Forest on their not close game, but competitive-ish kind of game against Clemson. And NC State, I just think, is better. So give me NC State plus the half against Wake Forest. In terms of my money line pick of the week, I'm going to go with UL Monroe plus 168. I'm going against Texas State again on the money line. And last week it worked. It's going to work again this week. So give me UL Monroe plus 168 on the money line against Texas State. NFL Fab 5 time. Obviously, I did this inspired by The Ringer. I actually have a total in my picks this week for the Fab 5, but I'm going to reveal what my fifth spread pick for FanDuel's contest is. Bills minus 6.5 over the Dolphins. I'm going to take the Bills, obviously. I just think that they're better than the Dolphins. I think that the line's very low. Ryan Fitzpatrick stunk last week. I don't think he's going to play that great against this Bills defense either. And I think you're going to be hearing rumblings about Tua coming into play starting next week. Lions +6 against the Packers. I just think this is a close game. I think the Lions can win outright, and I think they will win outright. So give me the +6 with the Lions against the Green Bay Packers. Minnesota, Indianapolis over 48.5. That's my total pick for the contest. I just think that this game is played into the 60s. Both of these defenses are not very good. I could see a world where Indy even wins 30-20, and that's still an over. I think this is 31-30 Indy. So give me the over in that game. And then 49ers -7 against the Jets. I just think that the 49ers are just flat out better than the Jets. This is the perfect bounce back spot for them. And I don't remember if I took them or Buffalo as my double down pick of the week. And then, by the way, before I give out my last pick on the Fab 5, my Fab 5 pick that didn't make the cut because I like this over much better, but it made the Ringers contest cut, was the Jaguars getting the 7.5. I just did that because I don't think many people did that, and I have an edge on the Jaguars that I discussed earlier, but I didn't put it in my podcast Fab 5. And my last pick for the Fab 5 is the New York Football Giants getting the 5.5. They're also my moneyline pick of the week as well at +205. I think Daniel Jones is better than Mitchell Trubisky. I think the Giants' defense actually played hard last week against Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh's offense is much better than Jacksonville's. It's much better than Jacksonville's. It's also much better than the Bears' offense. Ben Roethlisberger, even at his age and injury concerns, is much better than Mitchell Trubisky. I think the Giant defense will play better. I think their offense will play better with a weaker defense that they're seeing in the Bears. I think the Bears' defense is one of the more overrated defenses in the league. I mean, I think that's part of it's due to Trubisky because they're under so much pressure, and their defense stunk in the first 3 quarters of the game. But that Lions collapse actually made it look good. Give me the Giants +5.5, +205 on the money line as my money line pick of the week. And my best bet of the day, brought to you by FanDuel as well. This is hard for best bet. I am going to go with I want to go over 10.5 Red Sox Yanks, as the Yankee offense could do it by itself. I like over 9 in Royals Brewers too. Over 8.5 in Giants A's is intriguing, but no Matt Chapman makes me nervous. I'm going to go over 10.5 Yankees Sox, -104. Juice is on the juice is against me. And that's where I'm getting the value. -104 over 10.5 Yankees Sox. I think the Yankees can do it by themselves. If not, maybe the Yanks win this game 7-4 or 8-4. So give me the over 8.5 or 10.5 in Yankees Sox as my best bet of the day. That's it for the show. I'll be back on Monday recapping everything from the weekend, from football to basketball to hockey to baseball, golf, and NASCAR too. And we'll get into more pop culture next week as Dancing with the Stars has its elimination. Masked Singer starts, and then the I Can See Your Voice starts next week as well. Hope you guys have a great weekend, everyone.